Hello everyone and welcome. Nearly $1 billion. That's the amount that will be distributed among the 32 teams qualified for the Club World Cup, this competition revisited by Gianni Infantino. And as we explained at the beginning, there wasn't much enthusiasm. The clubs weren't very interested. They thought, well, it's going to complicate the schedule. What are we going to do? Then we would put substitutes. And there, FIFA, to convince these teams, pulled out all the stops. That is to say, they are signing big checks. And now everyone wants to play the Club World clubs. So potentially, it will be a short-lived event because indeed doesn't pay the high price backed by Saudi funds to align so that FIFA does not spend not a penny, but that doesn't put it all on the TV rights, the exclusivity they will then resell. You can imagine all the TV rights experts watching me to confirm. It will be a huge loss for DAZN and the Saudis. So this is really an event linked to Infantino. Also, there is the Arab connection, etc. Well, you get the idea a bit. That's why I think that in that idea, at that price, there will only be one event. It's not possible to have that much money for a competition, but since Gianni Infantino wanted it, we fulfill all his wishes. So as you've seen, special market for the Club World Cup. We also invited Inter Miami so that Lionel Messi would be there, obviously with a group. Well, obviously, I can see you coming. Inter Miami obviously taking the weakest group. It's going to be a happy chance, lucky chance also that FIFA does not even follow its own regulations. Oh yes, because they had convened both Leon and Pachuca, two Mexican teams, but wouldn't the owner be somewhat the same in both cases? Well, actually, they weren't allowed. So, a club from Costa Rica, Aguense, had filed a complaint at the level of, made an appeal, at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, along with others, etc. And finally, well, indeed, Leon cannot be there because FIFA hadn't even respected its own regulations. So, there will be a playoff, I think, between LA Galaxy and the Club America from Mexico, which will determine the 32nd and happy selected one, because the people from Costa Rica, from Aguense, no, this is not for you. So we can see how unclear and absurd it is. And at the same time, we have the president of FIFA, who is doing a tour after having been with Donald Trump all the time. Keep in mind, though, for FIFA's annual Congress, which is FIFA's most important event, the president was late because he was with Donald Trump before. However, he's a bit troubled because, you will see, the United States did not want the tax exemption. So actually, they realized, oh no, we're going to distribute money, but potentially 30% might be withheld by the American Treasury. So FIFA had forgotten this little detail, so the clubs are now starting to be very happy. They say yes, but it depends on the agreements between countries. And it's a mess, and it shows how much this institution, the supreme institution of world football, has become a big joke. But no worries, Gianni Infantino makes us vlogs, makes us post in the biggest fast food chains in the United States because it's apparently cool and it's going to be healthy. And also he goes to influencers to say, don't worry, maybe Ronaldo will play in the Club World Cup because indeed the president of FIFA is involved to ensure Ronaldo is there, and on the other side, Lionel Messi. You understand, we're in the realm of the grotesque, but a little patience because you will see how money is calculated now. How do you redistribute $1 billion? So first, the most curious thing is that FIFA is still talking to us about the $250 million in solidarity that will be redistributed to teams that are not participating in the competition. So on what grounds? They had said it would be with the executive board, so Nasser and the others who would decide. Similarly in Africa, so it would be Patrice Motsepe in particular, president of the CAF, who is also the owner of Mamelodi Sundowns, which is qualified for the Club World Cup. And we have no idea. And it's completely unclear. But I don't want to focus on how much FIFA is messing with everyone and how much this competition will disrupt the transfer market. That is, it will create even more disparity between the qualified clubs and the others. Because there's a participation bonus. So at first, well, obviously, the Oceania club, Auckland. I remind you that Auckland, we're not even talking about the best New Zealand teams, because the best New Zealand teams, the top two, they already play in the Australian League, which is not affiliated with the OFC, the Oceanic Confederation, but with the Asian one. So this is a team that is extremely weak, but I have a lot of love, for semi-professional football and all that. And so Auckland will receive already more than $3.5 million. So that means more than the budget of all the other clubs in the championship. So for sure, that's really going to balance the championship well. Then in Africa, so especially Espérance Sportive de Tunis, Angers and Mayo, Al Wihda, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Al Ahly in Egypt will take $9.5 million of dollars. Similarly, in the Asian zone, notably for Al Hilal, we have a Korean club, Al Ain, in the Emirates, and a Japanese club as well, Urawa. In the North Central America and Caribbean zone, it's the same, $9.5 million. So actually, they've calculated this according to sports and commercial criteria. I won't explain to you how. So in South America, we have 4 Brazilians and 2 Argentinians, River and Boca. So we're increasing the participation by 15 million, which is huge. And there, I love it. In Europe, it goes from 12 million to 38 million. So there's a difference, as you clearly noticed, just for participation. That based on your commercial criteria, well, you're paid 3 times more than I imagine, Salzburg. So already there, and then check again on the FIFA website. You have no transparency. You don't know who gets what. You don't know the reasoning behind it, and it talks about fairness of opportunities. But then in the zone, Europe, why don't we put everyone on an equal footing? No, well, there's stuff like drugs, all right? So already you see the importance. But here, we are getting to better things. Group stage, if you win any match, it's $2 million. Except, let's be honest, when you play Oakland, you're sure to win. So there you go, 2 million. If you win 2 matches, that's 4. A draw is $1 million. So it's huge. You reach the round of 16, and well, you get 7.5 million. You reach the quarterfinals, you add 13 million. So in the quarterfinals, where we will have, let's be very honest, only European teams, and I imagine maybe some South Americans, and why not an Asian team that could come out, or Al Ahly? But I would honestly be surprised. So you take 20 million in the quarterfinals, plus what you earn in the group stage. So let's say you are almost at 25 million, plus your participation bonus. So 15 million for the South Americans. At least 20, let's say, for the Europeans. Except if you reach the semi-final, you take 20 more. And if you're a finalist, 30 more, and 40 million if you win it. That means the winner will receive roughly $125 million. Can you imagine the difference in the transfer market? That is to say, the finalist will take about 110, 115. The semi-finalists will be about 125, 80, 90. And those who at least reach the quarterfinals, come on, 20, 25, then 20, they're going to take at least 50 or 60. So now you understand why Barca, why all the others, they were there, but they were disgusted. Because in fact, it's going to give you an ephemeral and unique boost. Absolutely crazy for the already richest clubs in the world. So the problem is this absolutely massive imbalance, this lack of transparency again. And actually, to attract the clubs, big checks are signed. There, you see, there's no longer a manager. No, too many matches. No, the money. Oh, I'll take the money. So we clearly see once again to what extent money dominates everything. The problem is that this competition is poorly conceived. We see the invitation there. We see that they want to meddle to impose conditions. In the end, there is a really grotesque aspect, but that is not surprising when you know Gianni's ideology. Infantino, the problem is that it's going to unbalance the transfer market again. It will also unbalance certain championships. We can think of Tunisia, Morocco, South Africa, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, even a bit of Mexico. Although, well, the money in football in Mexico, I have to say, is not always all that clean. So you can imagine that for Porto, Benfica, Portuguese clubs that necessarily rely on selling, now there is taking at least 40 and 50 more. It's huge. Dortmund, you now understand why they'll be able to recruit well, like Bayern. Bayern gives salaries. Sometimes we say PSG gives salaries, but then Bayern in commissions and salaries. You sometimes wonder why they set such high amounts. We know Chelsea needed it. It would be crucial for them at this level. Inter the same, it's important. Even if they're not in the Champions League now, they won't be too bad, Inter, but they needed a bit new financial inflows. That's why clubs like Barca, like Juve, like Manchester United, they have nothing left but to weep. It's true that it's logical, especially for United, which has had an absolutely abyssal decline in Europe over the past few years. In fact, it will create an even greater imbalance between the richest and the others who have money, but need liquidity because they had a lifestyle. Expensive. Anyway, I've said enough. We'll be back soon on the channel because between lower division clubs and the international break, especially the Asian Cup qualifiers, we might soon see Uzbekistan's first qualification for their World Cup, the real one in 2026. And that is worth much more than this artificial Club World Cup. With that, keep the faith.